Ladies and gentlemen, greetings from your respective positions. This is making international headlines. President Vladimir Putin is no longer joking. He is no longer kidding. He has just significantly intensified his activities, his military activities towards Ukrainian territory. This brief pause we recently experienced obviously addressed Vladimir Putin's concerns. Because for a long time people were saying, even Putin was saying, that the West, in any case the sponsors of Ukraine, should not seek to use a ceasefire to allow themselves to rearm and reposition. Obviously that's what was done. While Russia was observing the ceasefire, they were doing something else. So, in addition to the fact that Vladimir Putin gave the order yesterday, on the night from Friday to Friday, March 28th to Saturday, March 29th, 2025. In addition to the fact that more than 190 drones have landed on Ukrainian territory. We are being told that Russia is preparing a real offensive. Part of the offensive is already underway, but the real offensive is coming. And it's a matter of hours. So, Russia is no longer listening. In any case, for the moment, it will continue its mission on the ground. And what is unfortunate for Ukraine is that, as Russia continues, Ukraine continues to lose advantages that it should put on the negotiating table to allow it to have a bit more strength. But how is Russia going to act while observing the ceasefire? Even if it's only verbal, first Ukraine thinks it's clever, pushed by London and Paris. So, in the context of this video conference, it is this gigantic preparation by Russia that we are going to discuss. Thank you for following the video conference until the end. But before continuing, I ask you to share the video conference as much as possible. Give it lots of likes and above all, don't forget to leave a comment with your opinion. This gives strength to the video conference. So, let's dive deep. What should be noted already is that for the past few hours, Russian troops are in a form of minimal offensive initially. And this minimal offensive has allowed Russian troops to take control of the settlement Panteleimonovka in the Donetsk People's Region and the settlement of Cherbaki in the Zaporizhia region. Yesterday it was said that the Donetsk People's Republic was 99% controlled and Zaporizhia was 70% controlled. Today, with these additional settlements, these localities being added, we are approaching 100% on the side of the Donetsk People's Republic, and we are approaching 71 to 72% in the Zaporizhia People's Republic. So, this is the minimalist offensive. Since Russia wants to proceed with a complete cleanup to obtain the entirety of Donetsk, the entirety of Zaporizhia. So, what needs to be said first is that the Ukrainians, pushed by London and Paris, having understood that Russia was going to react firmly to their blatant violation of the verbal ceasefire agreement. London and Paris pushed Ukraine to seek to establish fortification barriers in certain border areas, in certain zones of hostility. This is the case, for example, of the Pokrovsk front line, which they have fortified. But, unfortunately, it's a lost cause. So, according to the information we are receiving, you have satellite images that have revealed that Ukrainian forces have significantly fortified the surroundings of Pokrovsk. The defense network is at best twice as dense as that of Avdiivka and Pokrovsk, so Avdiivka, which fell last year, and which seemed to be very fortified this time. They have fortified this area twice as much compared to the other, with the hope that, yes, obviously, they will be able to reach Russia. So, what needs to be said is that they fortified in such a way that the manner in which Avdiivka fell, since to make Avdiivka fall, the Russians spent 16 months trying to break through the Avdiivka front line. Now they want to put in front of the Russians double the 16 months. Unfortunately, the Russians have the experience of those 16 months, which helped them break through the front line they now know. So, what needs to be noted, according to official information, moreover, the gradual advance of the Russians has been noticed towards this new front line, and it's causing concern. For the moment, the Ukrainians have said nothing in calm. So, the Kremlin is preparing. This is just the preliminaries. But what the Kremlin really wants to do, we learn that the Kremlin is preparing for a multi-directional offensive. Multidirectional. This time, it will be an offensive in all directions. As if what happened before wasn't in all directions. Since already, usually, Russia has units in the center of Ukraine, in the north of Ukraine, in the east of Ukraine, on the Dnieper, and then a bit everywhere. Now, these different units, these different directions that will be increased. For example, in the north, if there was only one unit, they will add more than 5 units going in various directions from the north. It's a kind of total invasion of the entire Ukrainian territory. We learned that the Kremlin is preparing for a multi-directional offensive on the front line of 1,000 kilometers. So, it's Zelensky who makes the announcement, in part, citing intelligence data. So, Zelensky stated that Russia was preparing a new attack in the Sumy region, in the Kharkiv region, in the Zaporizhia region. He observes with his own eyes the intelligence service informing him, since Russia has somewhat let itself be deceived. So, it is noted that Russian and North Korean soldiers have almost deprived Kiev of a major asset. In the negotiations by retaking most of the Kursk region, the fighting has also intensified on the Eastern Front, in the Donetsk and Zaporizhia regions. So, what needs to be said on this side is that, in addition to the fact that North Korean and Russian soldiers are operating in the Kursk region, Sumy region, and Kharkiv region, this time there is a new unit composed of both North Korean and Russian soldiers heading into the depths of Ukraine. So, here is the information we have, and the question we ask ourselves is, when will this situation end? Thank you. Ukraine would have provoked by submitting to the orders of Paris and London, which could be very fatal for Ukraine. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that was one of the international news stories. Thank you for sharing it as much as possible. I will get back to you shortly with new updates by the grace of the blood. This was the voice of your one and only samurai.